Hello.
Welcome to NME's Weekly Albums Club. I am Leonie Cooper.
I'm Dan Stubbs.
And together we are...
Albums Club. So every week we talk about two big new releases and one classic album that's sort of celebrating an anniversary.
This week, I mean, this kind of time of year, people don't release massive albums, or at least they didn't in the past. So we've gone for a 19-year anniversary, which is not our usual kind of you're 20, you're 21, you're 30, 50. It's 19 years. So cast your mind back to 1998.
But we'll keep that a secret.
We will keep it a secret. Don't tell.
We shall say hello to the album later on. But before that,
clue.
Massive. So you said historically, summer used to be a bit of a fallow period, sort of like when the politicians go on holiday, so do the pop stars. But
indeed.
This year.
I wonder if they go to the same place.
Maybe.
It's probably just Richard Branson's island.
Yeah, big party.
Let's try and get an invite next
This year there's been some amazingly massive albums, even in the past few weeks. We've had Jay-Z and a bunch of others, and today two big artists.
It's no exception today, is it, Dan?
One British, one American. There's a clue on the table here from the last two NMEs. But we're going to start off with Lana Del Rey, who put out her new album.
It is Lust for Life.
Take off, take off, take off all your clothes, take off, take off, take off all your clothes.
So, Lana Del Rey, yeah, looking lovely on the cover of NME today.
And quite sort of Charles Manson family.
It's, okay, there's a little touch of the 60s cult about her, but that's her thing.
That's her
She's
vibe.
very culty, she's very 60s. She is excellent, she is Lana Del Rey. It is her fifth album, but it's her fourth major label album. We sort of ignore her first album.
It's confusing, is it? Because wasn't her second album as well, kind of? It was just her first album, but with more bits
so it's the
in it.
first major label album. So she kind of put out her first Lana Del Rey album in like 2010, but it kind of self-funded it, I think, and it didn't really get picked up. So we ignore the first one. So this is her fourth proper album, Lust for Life, a title brazenly stolen off Iggy Pop.
I mean, imagine.
Just like, I'll just call it that, like, but
it's not the only piece of theft that happens on this album.
Well, there's a lot. It's very postmodern. There are a lot of references to other things that have happened. I'm gonna talk about a few.
Please do.
I've got a list of some.
Before we start, I'm going to say though that I think Lana Del Rey is brilliant.
I think she's brilliant as well.
I won't hear a word against her.
No. I'm just mentioning the things that, I mean, she's done these kind of not self-referential, just other people referential things. So in the song Coachella, Woodstock in My Mind, she talks about a stairway to heaven, which can only be a reference to Led Zeppelin's Stairway of the same name.
Yeah. And then on the note of that song, Coachella, Woodstock in My Mind, it's more like the festival in my polo field, isn't it? It's not, I don't know where.
I mean, I
don't know what Coachella she went to, but
she probably, before it got cool.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. She's probably in the nice VIP area, not in the drinking cages that are liberally scattered around the strange polo field that is Coachella. Yeah. So on the song Cherry, she kind of says "I fall to pieces," which is a very kind of Patsy Cline-esque reference. There's the song. I was going to call it the song Creep, but I meant the song Get Free, which sounds quite similar to the song Creep by Radiohead. But on that, there's Out of the Blue Into the Black.
Right.
Neil Young.
And also Kurt Cobain's Suicide Note reference that, didn't it? Indeed,
and she likes Kurt Cobain, doesn't she? And there's some other bits as well. There's on the song Lust for Life, the album kind of title track, which features The Weeknd. It sounds like the Shangri-Las, and at some point she says, "My boyfriend's back" as well. There's all these kind of references to other cool stuff that's happened in music.
You missed the big one, I was
saving that for you, Dan.
Oh, right, OK. So she's done a song with Sean Lennon.
I was saving that for you because...
John and Yoko's son. It's kind of weirdly postmodern where they sort of talk about John and Yoko in it, and then she says, "And I'm now singing with Sean." That's the one, like in the lyrics. Yeah. But it is basically something, which is a George Harrison Beatles song. It's
a different Beatle, so it's not that kind of looking back to his dad. It's like, I'm going to go for another Beatle.
Yeah, it's weird. I think they're probably just assuming that family loyalty means that no suits will be pending.
She also sings about a tiny dancer on that song, Elton John. It's a good fun game to play. You can sit there with your book of cool vintage things and tick, done, tick, reference.
But that's a good point, because her thing, she's always been about kind of describing this sort of noirish, kind of sultry, Hollywood, this kind of intoxicatingly vintage, lovely world. This one is a bit more kind of, a bit more like back to the slight hip-hop influence of the debut album, isn't it? So it's a bit more modern, really.
Yeah, on some of the tracks, a very kind of trap production. A$AP Rocky is on 2 tracks, Summer Bummer and Groupie Love. But also, so we've got all that going on, but then Stevie Nicks is on it as well. So another throwback to times past on a song called Beautiful People, Beautiful Problems. I know how that is.
And the second half is a bit less like that, isn't it? It's a bit more kind of ballady. But she's kind of talking about the modern world. That's the song "God Bless America" and all the beautiful women. That's apparently about the women's marches, wasn't it? And
prescient, political.
I'd say there's some bits in this album that are real like peak Lana moments.
Oh, okay. Are you going to sing them?
No.
Okay.
The take off all your clothes line.
Take off.
I knew you wouldn't be able to.
It's almost kind of self-parody, isn't it?
Yeah,
she gets away with it somehow. You kind of get swept up in this, like, I will take off my clothes for you, Lana.
I think people don't realise that it's supposed to be a bit funny. Like, I think she is a bit funny and people don't. Yeah. People take it quite seriously.
Because the music is so kind of quite serious and you think it's quite it's deadpan, but there is a little wink in there.
That's like what the Smiths always did and bands like that. And then I was going to say 13 Beaches is pretty Pete Lana as well, which is where she sort of solemnly goes around 13 different beaches until she finds one with no people on it where she can truly be happy.
I know, that's summer coming up, so...
That actually happened to me there with only 5 beaches, but one had a crop of sea anemones on it, one had a naked German man on it, and just kept going round.
Where were these beaches?
And the boat ran out of petrol. Croatia.
But only 5 and you got there.
So what I'm saying is, it speaks to me. I know
you know how it feels to be Lana Del Rey,
looking
for that perfect beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, beaches be crazy, Dan.
They do. How many H's in the Hollywood sign are you going to give this album out of 5?
I was thinking of like how many Oscars I was going to give it.
Okay.
That kind of plugs into the also, you know, the faded Hollywood glamour. But I could give it H's in the Hollywood sign. I mean, I'm going to give it 4. We can talk about what specific thing out of things later, because we could go on.
Controversially, I'm going to give it a 5.
Oh! But Dan, you always agree with me.
I know. That's not to say this and the other albums today all share one huge flaw, don't they? Which is they just never end.
They're very long albums. All of the albums this week, many tracks. So the Lana Del Rey album has 16 tracks. The album that we're about to talk about has 16 tracks. And the classic album has 22 tracks. This is like an endurance test.
So the second incredibly long album is Rascal by Dizzee Rascal, and here he was on the cover of last week's issue.
Which is good, isn't it? Look how we did that.
Almost like we planned it.
Top of our game, aren't we?
Rip up and ravage, make it a habit to damage. Whole lot of baggage, you will not manage. I'm the full package. Why do they talk like I am not established? That is so callous, they are the saddest. Why are they so full of malice? Making up fallacies.
So, Dizzee Rascal, here he is. Great cover, great shot, looking brilliant. This is his first album in 4 years. It's his 6th album overall. 16 tracks, 14 years, I'm just doing lots of numbers now, 14 years since Boy in the Corner.
14 years today.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Gosh, do you wonder if he planned that? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Again, 14 isn't a big anniversary, but I mean, we're doing a 19 years in a minute. So, yeah. So that seems like an age away, 14 years, but this is sort of a return to his roots. This is the guy who brought grime into the mainstream, and then grime kind of transmogrified into something else. Sorry. Changed.
Didn't drop that one on me.
Changed into something else. So he started doing loads of pop collaborations and EDM stuff. There was Bonkers. Which we'll probably talk about more in a minute, because I know Dan's a big fan of Bonkers. But then a couple of years ago, Skepta popped back up, and he sort of ditched the pop stuff that he was doing with well, and went back to this really kind of hard and visceral early grime stuff. And obviously Dizzee saw that doing quite well and thought,
But he hasn't copied that. This is not like
it's not copying it.
It's not really a grime album in the traditional sense. It's quite a more hip hop influence in there as well. It's not straight up grime, is it?
No, but it is a kind of social commentary. This is not him talking about partying in Ayia Napa as he was about 5, 6, 7 years ago. This is him talking about gentrification and talking about the government and how much he hates selfies. I'm with you, Dizzee.
And his childhood and. I mean, Brexit's in there.
Yeah, this is serious.
Comedy, well, not comedy.
Comedy villain.
No, not comedy.
Actual real villain.
Well, not a villain either. Is this legally dubious?
Bad guy.
Man, Martin Shkreli. He gets a shout out in this album.
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah, it's very now, it's very different from what he's done.
It's good, I like it.
It's gone down really well with the fans, hasn't it?
It's caustic.
It is very caustic, yeah.
Beats are quite heavy.
But I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Were Bonkers and Dance With Me all that bad?
Well, no, they weren't that bad. But it's nice to see him evolving as an artist, but also referencing where he came from as well. It's kind of circuitous thing going on. Sorry, should I stop using words that make you laugh?
I just don't know what happened.
Let's talk about some of the tracks. So there's a song called The Other Side, which he slags off fashion MCs and rubbish MCs. I wonder who he's talking about. Well, there's a lot of things where you're like, I wonder who he's talking about on this.
And one way you think we know who he's talking about.
We do, we do.
Which is Wiley, or Willie as he calls him.
He calls him Willie, yeah. Which is, that's
he
sort
could
of
have
a
just
diss as
stopped
well.
there, really. That's just, but that's a weird kind of. He's never engaged in any sort of beefs before. They've always been.
He's quite beefy on this.
Yeah, but he's always just one-sided, aren't they? He's never kind of responded to anything. But the Wiley thing is kind of it's a weird beef anyway, isn't it? It's sort of like his beef on this is just like, stop trying to beef my friend again.
But they were pals, weren't they?
They were great friends, yeah.
I suppose we all move on, don't we? Times change, people get older. I'm getting older too.
Oh my God,
that was
snap out of it.
That was actually a Fleetwood Mac.
Right, okay, I missed it.
That was a quote from Landslide.
By Steve. Is that 14 years since Boy in the Corner making you feel nostalgic?
Very nostalgic. My favourite track is Slow Your Roll, which the one aforementioned song about gentrification, the housing crisis, and his concerns for young people growing up in London today and the future. And it's got this kind of sweet melody line, which sort of reminded me a bit of kind of a Mike Skinner ballad. And Mike Skinner gets referenced on here as well, on a song called Ghost, which has a sort of country music vibe.
Right.
The sample on it is quite country. And he's talking about 3310s on that. Everyone remember the 3310s?
They're back, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and Domino's, Pirate Radio, also mentions Mike Skinner on that. And he looks back at his early days, and there's a line, I was on the mic when you were in play school. Yeah. Who's that a message to?
But then it's quite sort of honest as well, because he sort of talks about worrying that, can he go back to where he's from? Like, have his fans all moved on?
And he talks about now he's wealthy as well.
Yeah.
The difference between talking about stuff that maybe he's not so much a part of now, but obviously he should still be able to comment on what's happening. I think it's a really good record.
It's just really self-aware, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He just comes across really well on it. Musically, it sounds great. It's just that it's kind of, like I said, it's caustic. It's like, it's hard. And it's got really minimal beats as well. It's vicious. It's not an easy listen. It's not like, put your feet up and listen to some chilled out Dizzee. He's angry on this album. There's a song called Sick of This, where he is just pure angry on that song. He is angry about...
Do you want to do that one?
Just sing it.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
You know my emceeing skills are as good as they should be.
Not as good as Dizzee's.
No, he's just angry at the government, at his phone company calling him. You know when they're like, oh, hi, it's...
Yeah, often my phone goes off and it's
just... and it's just them, and they just want to offer me some kind of... It's like, I don't need it. I just provide the service that I have paid you more money than I should be.
And there's a bit of G-Funk on there as well, isn't there? Even which
is G-Funk era.
Everyone likes a bit of G-Funk.
I love a bit of G-Funk.
But like this incredibly rambling chat so far, just goes on too long, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it's 16 tracks long, which maybe could have done with a trim. But hey, it's almost the weekend, so it's fine. You can sit there and listen to 16 tracks.
So it's called Rasket. How many baskets out of 5 baskets will you give it?
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that, and I'm going to give it 5.
5?
5, yeah, I really like it.
It's a 4 from me.
Okay, we're swapped.
We're swapped.
We're swapped there. Now, for our final album, the classic album, 19 years this week. Actually, what I'd like to point out is the fact that the cover of this album and the cover of the Dizzee Rascal album share a colour scheme.
Yellow.
Black and yellow.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's tenuous. Anyway,
it's not tenuous. If you put them next to each other, they look very similar in terms of colours.
If we had the albums here with us...
But we don't.
I forgot to bring it in, didn't I?
Dan forgot to bring in his lovely edition of the classic album, which is...
It's Hello Nasty by the Beastie Boys. So Hello Nasty by the Beastie Boys, 19 years, came out in 1998. It was the rap legends' 5th album. It went straight in at #1 in the UK and the US, and it had been 4 years since Ill Communication, which is also a really good album, because that's on the Sabotage on it, isn't it? Is it? Yeah. Yeah, Sabotage, what tune. It got 9 out of 10 in NME,
So we loved it then, we loved it now. The reviewer 19 years ago called it Yo Computer.
In the headline?
In the headline, because they thought it channeled the same themes as OK Computer.
But because it's a rap album, rappers say things like yo.
At least they did in 1998, Dan. I'm not sure if they do anymore.
This is an important point because it sounds very of its time.
Indeed, it does sound very of its time. It's still a great album, but it's got this kind of big beat thing going on. It sounds like Fatboy Slim. It sounds like Bentley Rhythm Ace, which is a obscure reference. If you remember Bentley Rhythm Ace. Hi, Mum. It's another epic album, 22 tracks.
Yeah, too much.
Well, I don't know if it's the Beastie Boys. A lot of them was weird kind of, not necessarily interludes, but kind of weird just like bridging moments between different styles, and there's so much going on here as well, so many different kinds of references. So there's a kind of lounge music happening, it's obviously rap, hip-hop, then this kind of old school 80s electronic sound, it's a very kind of Africa Bambaataa stuff going on. But then there's a bit of Sun Ra as well, Lee Scratch Perry is on a track, so we've got that kind of old school reggae, kind of weird dub stuff happening as well. It's a bit mad.
Loads of samples.
So many samples, so many like weird kind of world music-y bits dropped in.
Lots of waka waka wah sort of stuff.
Because Mixmaster Mike is on the scratching.
Yeah, scratching.
What happened to scratching? People don't scratch anymore.
Yeah, not so much.
No,
it's gone out of
because it sounds
fashion.
weird and naff.
But like I think it was it's an upbeat, fun, colourful album. It was sort of this was the sort of mood of the times really then. So if we've just had. A couple of sort of sad and angry albums for sad, angry old 2017. But 1998, it was just
people like the new millennium was coming, and I think there is a slight kind of wariness as to what was going to happen. But they're going into it with excitement and aplomb.
And it had a bit of a sort of sci-fi thing.
Indeed.
To the cover and a couple of tracks, especially Intergalactic. Right, yeah. Which is like, that's where the Flight of the Conchords' entire career came from. That one
definitely,
song,
the video is incredible as well. And the cover is brilliant, them in the sardine tin.
Yeah.
I saw them.
I'd show it you if I hadn't forgotten.
But they just flashed it up, I saw them on the tour they did in the UK the year after this.
Right.
Which was at Wembley Arena, and it was in the round. So I got there really early because I was 13. And stood right at the front, and Jungle Brothers and Bentley Rhythm Ace. God, I didn't realise I've been mentioning Bentley Rhythm Ace so much today. Supported. I just remember it being just brilliant. It was just such a good show, all three of them. Who's your favourite Beastie Boy?
I mean, you can't pick between the three, can you?
Mad Rock.
I was going to say that, so Mike D. I'm going to say...
Whoa, MC?
No.
I mean, they're all good.
They're all good.
They're all good. I like, on this album...
Yeah.
Body Moving.
Body Moving's great.
I'm so sweet, like a nice bonbon. I was going to say Nice. Only because we were talking about France earlier.
I don't mean to brag, I don't mean to boast, but I'm into continental when I eat French toast.
Yeah, that is good. Because what's so great about the Beastie Boys is that humour and is there throughout the album. So they can do the amazing wordplay and stuff like that, but then they can just do a stupid joke.
Yeah.
Which was what I love about them.
But I think it's not this. No one regards this as their classic album. I think it was probably one of the biggest hits. But people always say, Paul's Boutique was the sort of. That was the intellectuals.
Let me scratch my chin and think, Paul's Boutique is a good album.
But I tell you which one I would always put on is Hello Nasty. If I'm going to listen to a Beastie Boys album, I would listen to this one.
I'm probably going to put Ill Communication on, or Check Your Head.
Yeah.
Or Paul's Boutique if I'm trying to impress somebody.
Right, exactly.
What's this? Oh, this. It's Paul's Boutique.
Yeah.
The second?
Never the first one, though.
Or I just put on some of their early hardcore.
Right, yeah.
When they used to be a punk band. And they had the one from Luscious Jackson drumming in the band. Kate Shallenbach. Fact.
Oh, yeah.
So that is Hello Nasty.
How many sardines in a tin are you going to give it?
4.
4
sardines, like the Beastie Boys plus Mixmaster Mike.
3 MCs and 1 DJ, you might say.
Yeah. They'll be getting down with no delay.
Exactly.
So Dan Stubbs, what you got to say?
That is it.
We've amused ourselves at least, haven't we?
Yeah. Hopefully, at least a couple of people too. And this will be back next week.
It will.
Not with me, I'm away.
Yeah, Dan's on holiday.
With someone else.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows who it's going to be?
So mystery guests. It'll be someone from the office, don't get too excited. And there we are. See you next time.
Thank you.